Now, the Norwegian Oil Fund has clear expectations, as we heard, of the companies that it invests in. But how is it for a company to comply with all these expectations in practice? How straightforward is it to deliver on, let's say, the UN global goals, ensuring sustainability and profitability, or to make a plan for net zero within a certain number of years? Stine Lise Hattestad Bratsberg has worked with the UN sustainability goals since before their launch in 2016, and for the last 15 years, she has advised several leader groups and boards in the field of sustainable business. Through her daily work as partner and responsible for the sustainability field at KPMG Pure Sustainability, she knows a lot about what happens at the intersection between investors' expectations and the company's ability to comply. One obvious question is, are the investors demanding too much? Let's find out as I invite Stine Lise Hattestad Bratsberg to the stage here in Trondheim. It's very good to have you here. The floor is now yours, and don't forget to ask questions, people. Slido is still open, but now a warm applause to you.
Thank you, Ruth Astrid. Before I want to dive into the experience I have from boards and especially leader groups, I want to talk about the race to net zero, because there's nobody out there that do not want to be part of this race to net zero. So global entities with net zero targets generate more than 50% of the emissions out there. And do you believe that it's growing a whole lot of new pledges, a whole lot of new targets to go to net zero within 2050? Yes, definitely. But the targets do not move anything. It's the action behind the targets that actually going to move us anywhere. And as we know, heard from both Martin and Katarina, it's definitely a lot of expectations. And I could also address that the regulations are really growing and speedy growing in the direction that sets really higher expectations to all the companies out there. And I've tried to make a model that is a very, very simplified financial value chain. And what you see here is that the regulatory expectation is definitely growing. And you have the funds A that are invested in the businesses that are not listed. And the Foundation B are investing in the businesses that are listed. And you have all the suppliers delivering to the businesses that are listed. And I'm not going to talk about the listed ones, because you heard that Karina, for instance, in NBIM and others are really looking into those companies. And those are also the companies, as you heard earlier with Equinor here, that really have compliance and are more used to working in that direction to deliver on the expectations from owners. But assets managers, of course, assets owners, put pressure. And then, again, this pressure comes down to the company. And when we talk about these businesses, X, that are the SMEs. And the SMEs are those that we really need to have to be part of the acceleration, the speed for transition. SMEs in Europe, there are companies with less than 250 employees or with less than 50 million euros in turnover. But that are quite huge companies. Norway, we have a little bit less. We have 100 employees, 100 million Norwegian crowns. But if we do not have those companies on board, and they again set the expectations to the suppliers and their value chain to meet the higher, goals that we need to have on emission, nothing will happen. So let's go into the leading group or the boards. Just to give you an example. A leader group I've been working with for quite a long while. They have 3 different investors. All the 3 investors asking for different standards to deliver on their ESG goals and metrics. And what is important is what we are asking. Is it important to deliver on a certain standard, or is it really important to figure out what is our core business, where can we really manage our decarbonization plan, how can we manage it, and even more important, do we have the data, do we have the baseline to actually start measuring how we reduce. How we go from X to Y, how we actually manage to reduce for 50% to 2030, starting from what? With what kind of data? So I think it's important, and maybe it's a little bit too, how do you say, brave of me to say this, but I think it's a lot of investors out there that's asking and that are expecting that SMEs will reach net zero within 2050. But they do not know exactly the implication of it, and also the work that has to be done, and how to measure to get there, and how to change to get there. So I could say that it might be whether you are in one industry or the other, the key 5 steps towards a low carbon and net zero operation is this. And working with a strategy for decarbonization, do not start with a standard. But as Martin was referring to, the framework, TCFD, actually is a framework that makes you work on how is this important on your business, how is it actually affecting your business, how are you planning to do something with it, and how is it tackled by the board. So that is a good framework that makes you work with the core of your business. And then it comes to energy management program. It's not possible to have a strategy on how to reach your goals unless it is put into operation. And of course, if you manage to look into the regulation, if the SMEs really are prepared about what's coming and are in the forefront instead of lagging behind, their work with regulation will be much stronger and probably positive instead of negative. And then, of course, know your numbers. There are so little facts out there in a lot of small, medium-sized companies. The data on really the emission that you have. We need more facts. And then investors need also to invest in knowing the numbers. And then the partnership issue. That's really, really important. And we see a huge degree of more partnership between industries, between competitors, because there are some challenges out there that are larger than one company can solve by itself. And then you see partnership between competitors, partnership with NGOs, with knowledge, with academia. And as Anna said earlier today, extremely important to dare to share information and knowledge. So just to sum up, when we ask the investors, this is based on 90 different investors from 20 different countries. And this is what they call, or what they say are the largest risks they are facing in the near future. And I won't go into all of them, you can see them by yourself. But to sum up, investors, please know what you're asking for and the implication of it. And businesses, act, based not on anything else but facts, and put it into your core of your business. Then you will succeed. Thank you.